Well, today's unforgettable memory is still in summer camp, circa 1981 summer, I guess. And there was a counselor that was also, I guess, a part-time amateur magician. You know, you get one of those kits, and he had one of these, like the Guillotine, that will snap it off. And now the trick is that he puts a carrot in there, and it chop the carrot to prove that the blade is real. But of course, when you put a child's finger in there, I guess there's a switch or a blah 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 or whatever, but it doesn't do it, and that's the trick. So he's asking for volunteers. You know, there's a group of kids, you know, a bunch of 7, 8-year-olds, I don't know. And he's asking for a volunteer to stick his finger in there, and I volunteered. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, he's not going to cut off a kid's finger. That's crazy. And I'm relying on the fact that it's crazy to cut off a kid's finger. You know, why would it do it? So then he breaks out, of course, the carrot and shows that it's chopping off. But I'm still saying, I'm like, well, there's got to be a trick. In my head, I'm thinking, there's got to be a trick. Double down on this. And you know, so I double down, and I'm like, no, I'm still raising my hand. I'm thinking there's no way he's cutting off a kid's finger. Impossible. But then he doubles down, and I don't know what he said, or I don't know how he did it, and maybe, once again, I'm not really understanding the language, so I'm not understanding the nuance of American culture at that age, but for whatever reason, I backed down, and he ended up picking another kid. And of course, you know, doesn't cut off the finger. It's a trick. But I'll never forget that, about when does a person have self-doubt. And it's the idea of, you know, if you keep double downing on something, you eventually, maybe the double downing on something makes somebody think like twice about it, or maybe that's the risk, or maybe that's like, it's almost like you're out confidencing people, like that's the con almost. And excuse me, and it brings an interesting thought to myself, which is that if I'm relying on the fact that the finger will not be cut, then I can just sort of like, oh yeah, I'll do it, because I'm relying on that, I'm believing that. And therefore, to what extent is that brave? To what extent is that, you know, to what extent is that brave, you know, or not? It's almost like, you know, let me bring it back to contemporary times, is that driving or whatever, and there's somebody that's lollygagging across the street, like straight, not even making an effort to jaywalk quickly, just almost like not giving a shit. Looking at the driver with some kind of incredulous look because there's, you know, get a slow strut going. And I'm thinking, they're not tough. They're just relying on me not to run them over because of the implications of running somebody over or hurting somebody or doing something. They don't. If somebody actually believed, I think, that they were going to be injured or hurt, or it would change their entire mentality. I'm not saying they wouldn't necessarily do it, but they would need to overcome a different set of obstacles. That is the obstacle of like, oh my God, I got to do this in spite of believing that I will be hurt and maimed and all that kind of stuff. For example, I guess stunt people or wrestlers, you know, or, you know, MMA fighters, things, you know, there is a knowledge of going in and saying, okay, well, this is going to be injurious for sure. And you do it anyway. Versus somebody who's relying on somebody to just not do it. To what extent is that bravery? You know, I don't know why I backed down after the second double down. I guess I figured, you know, why are you gonna keep double downing? Why keep going? It's almost like, I guess in a poker game, it's like a re-raise. Where's the re-raise? Well, anyway, unforgettable memory. You know, magic guillotine. Thank you for listening.